Alright guys, if you're keeping up with the channel, you will now know we're up to the stringers. But first, if you have an outboard, you wouldn't have this problem. But because we have a stern drive, we now need to work out the spacing that we need to be and the height. Now, I am new to this, so if you're following along at your own risk. But the way I'm going to do it, so obviously I didn't touch none of these, I just unbolted it, so that should be at the same height that it should be, and obviously this is factory. So what I've done, I've just made this level, because that's normally it would be level in the boat, and I've made this level across here, so that's level, and then all I've done is I've held this underneath here and then measure what I've got left from top to from the underneath side, if I can hold that there roughly. So you just measure underneath like that and measure what you got there, and then once you've got that, which I'll tell you the measurement anyway, and obviously the spacings in between, so just make them two parallel. Now I'm not saying your motor is going to be the same if you're doing a new build, but this is just the way I think it's going to work. So if you make these two parallel front to back, and then obviously that from there to there is going to be your stringer spacing. And then what we had to do, obviously I'll show you what this template's for. But as we walk to the boat now, as you can see, the leg is just temporarily in. And if you're wondering how I drilled the holes that were previously there in the back of this, but obviously not in the timber because we changed the transom, get yourself a block of wood, put it on a drill press, because if you obviously drilling with a drill, you don't know if it's straight. So if you put it on a drill press and drill this straight through here and put it on the arch of the boat and clamp it down and drill straight through the original hole. Now if you're fitting a transom mount like this and you do not have the holes already there, you can buy a template. I think they're about 200 bucks in marketplace. There's one up there now, and that will give you all the holes. If you got the Alpha drive, you've only got I think 6 holes. If you got the Bravo, you got the extra 2 at the top. But so we've mounted the bracket on in here, and this is the same ordeal. So obviously the boat's level, so I just leveled across this. This is all just sitting on. I've only drilled the 2 holes. I'll take it off, I'll show you. So I didn't drill any more, just the 2 for now, just to try it out. Let's put that back on. So I just leveled across here and then just measured down, and I think I got like 230 by memory across here. And then what I'm left with over there with that measurement is 145. So that's going to tell me our finish height needs to be about 145, give or take. So the timbers that I've purchased ages ago, the biggest they had for that size was I think 120, 130. So I'll just check it by memory. Now I ordered these a fair while ago now, but these here, so this is Douglas fir if you're just tuning in. So they're 130, yeah, give or take 130. This one's a bit smaller, 125. So we'll probably be using these two here, 130s. And then once we add our fiberglass on top, that's going to give us a maybe extra 6, so or more. So time we bond it to the bottom, that's probably going to lift it up maybe 5 mil, plus our 6 of fiberglass on top. So we're going to be around the 140 mark, I reckon. So don't forget, we also, they're pretty low here. So worst case scenario, if we go lower, we still got at least 25 mil there that this can go down. I don't want to go too high because there's only 10 mil under there. So I hope you're staying with me on this, but so that's my idea of this. Now don't forget there is like a 5 mil, like a washer, goes under there like a cork washer. But that is the plan. So we're gonna go 145 high, give or take, maybe 140. And that's it. And we're gonna smash them in. All right guys, new day today. I finished off yesterday just by sanding the boat. I didn't want to bore you guys and record more sanding. But as you can see, we've done from the keel up 2 spots, same as that, all the way down. Okay, so now we're gonna double check, make sure the boat is level. So we set the laser up back up here, obviously so it's not on the boat. And make sure when you set your lasers up, make sure it's moving in there. It should flash if it's not set up anyway. And then you want to crank off on the side, so we're rocking the 210, and on the inside, say 128. Bring it over here, 210, and about 128. So I'm happy with that. Look, the boat's not going to be perfect. It's an old boat, you're not working with something new. Now when it comes to the front, you need to make sure the front's level as well as the back. So I have done that already. I just measured off here up to the line, if you can see it, there's a line. And same on the other side, and I've just propped here because there's nowhere else really to put it. And then same on the other side. Alright guys, so now your boat is level. So now the tools you're going to need is one bevel, if you don't have that, which is handy to have, a piece of timber, and an offcut piece of timber. If you don't have that, it's going to be very interesting. But I'll show you what I've done. So I've just chucked the laser. Now we want 540 in between here and here, which on my boat is right there and right there, just in between the 2 lips. So every boat's going to be different, but I've set the laser just by propping it up, and I put a mark on the top of our stringer. So just 125, that's the height of my stringer, and I put it where the stringer is going to go, and it's straight on the mark. So now the laser is running along your stringer, where the stringer's got to go, and it's set at the right height. So if you walk all the way to the end and wait till the bait stops shaking, that right there is the finished end of your stringer. So the laser does make it a bit more easier for you. Now when it comes to getting the angle for your stringer, if you have the easy option, a bevel, you just put your bevel there on the base of your hole, and then bring it to your laser, and then just line it up to your laser, just like so. And that is your angle of your stringer. So you can just come along, put up the base of your stringer, and then mark it, just like so. I've marked it there already for you. Obviously it'd be at the end, and cut the rest off. So that essentially will sit like that. So I hope you're staying with me. Now if you don't have a bevel, which I'm sure everybody would have one laying around, but if you don't, and you don't want to jump to the hardware, get yourself a timber, just like so, line it up. So that's lined up with the laser. Get yourself your offcut, just like that. Make sure it's hard down to the hull, and mark it. And that is it. And there's your angle. So obviously transferring it to a circ saw, you're kind of going to be eyeballing it if you don't have a combination square or something to measure that out. where with this you can just place it onto the circular saw and do it that way. Now on this boat I'm going to be measuring roughly a meter, check it, a meter, check it, because if you check the angle, I'll do it with this because you see it better. So obviously we've lined it up there, it's perfect. You go about a meter, it's still pretty reasonable, bit out there. And then you go another meter, and you can see we're starting to walk a little bit. Another meter, and you can see how far out we are. So every meter or for every 500, check it. But essentially I'm going to plane it or cut it down with the circ saw first at this angle, and then I'm going to plane the rest just using the hand planer. But I hope this gives you an idea of how I'm going to work this out, and it's just going to be ballpark. I'm going to get it as good as I can get it, and obviously it's going to have a bonding agent in between the timber and the hull. So, but yeah, so essentially that's it, just a level line. And if you don't have a laser, these are cheap. I think this was like 90 bucks or something. If you're to buy a laser and you're going to keep it forever and use it on other projects, these are pretty good. But if you're going to get a better one, you want the glass so it goes up over the top, because when you're shooting a line, for instance, in your house or something, I know it's not level, but it's only going to go a certain height, where if you get the one that's got the glass that goes all the way up to the top and spend the extra whatever it was, it will shoot a line all the way up over your roof. So just keep in mind if you're going to use it. This is not the only laser I got, so this is just something I just using for the boat just in case I smash it. But yeah, hope this helps you guys. Now we're going to jump to the garage and we're going to mark out these stringers. But essentially that's going to give you your finish line down the end and your starting point. So you just measure in between, and that's the length of your stringers. Alright guys, enough picking your brains. Let's jump to the stringers. Alright guys, we're getting ready to cut these stringers. So you want to set your circ saw up. Obviously not plugged in. If it's cordless, take your battery out. But you get your bevel and put it along the blade, just like that. See that? Yeah. Which works out to be 25 degrees on the angle. And then if you don't have a bevel, which I suggest you just go down the hardware and get, you can use a combo square. Put it against it and run a square down it, and that will tell you 25 degrees on your square. Alright, let's go show you the stringers. So now I went with timber. In the previous video it does explain why. So we got the Douglas fir. Now I've weighed all three, and for some strange reason that one's 6 kilos heavier than these two. So these are exactly the same length, everything. So we're just going to use these two. Obviously check your bows before cutting it. Now if you're not using these timbers, these are very straight. You run your eye along that. So they're very straight. So there's no up or down on these because they're obviously the straightest timbers out. So you want to get your saw, and we're going to run along this edge. Now we're not trying to take off any off here. You want to stay right on the corner. That way you're not taking off any of the width. So if you set your blade up to go right on the edge, and then put your little guide on there, and that's it. Just going to send it along there, and Bob's your uncle. Alright guys, we have to end the video short here. I can't fit it all in one movie. So what we're going to do, we're going to end this for part 1 of the stringer rebuild. And coming up next is cut and prep the stringers ready for install. Hope you enjoy this video, and I'll see you on the next one.